Yes, now, and welcome back to episode 162 of the Top Loaded podcast. And welcome to July. It's the month of the National. We're 1 month out from the next London card show at Sandown Racecourse, and it is the hottest day of the year. So, before I get into a lot of these talking points, which are quite intriguing this week, a massive thanks for the guys over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded podcast. Whether you need card supplies, custom card stands, great preparation kits, or whatever it may be, they will have you covered. Use the link in our bio, head over to their Instagram website, or head to their shop and use the code TTP10 at checkout to receive 10% off your whole order. And getting into it, I'm going to be biased here. There's only one thing to talk about. July 2nd starts Women's Euros 2025 taking place in Switzerland. 16 teams will battle it out to be crowned the best team in Europe, and I can't wait. 2 games every day, 5 and 8 o'clock. I've been counting down the days for this. I've been really looking forward to it. However, before I do a little speech about like the Euros and like just for people who are listening along who might not really be into the women's side of it, I've got to say the one thing at the moment that's really frustrating me, and I'm sure some people won't really care. Some people might agree with me. Some people who are in the card world might even say it. I don't like it when women's sets, men's sets, whatever it may be, aren't out in time. For the women's, we're still waiting on Champions League Chrome from last season. We're still waiting on Sapphire from last season. And we're 1 day out. So we're 24 hours officially now, just under 24 hours away from the start of the Women's European Championships. And we've got no set. And through a few contacts I've been speaking to that are distributors, breakers, whatever it may be, some of whom are plugged in with people at Tops, as well as speaking to someone at Fanatics, there's no scheduled release date. And all right, people might say it's delayed. I don't think it's good enough anymore. I really don't. If you know a championships is starting on July 2nd, get the set ready, man. Now, why does it take? Why do we have to probably wait till September, October to get a set from something which is in July? You want to get your cars doing so well, bring them out on time. We're really bad enough that it's going to have pajama kits anyway, but please just bring out sets on time. Like for the women's Euros, there'd be nothing better to open, like someone doing a case break tonight, the night before the Euros, or after England's game against France on Saturday, case break or watch along. Like, please, can they start bring sets out on time? And obviously, for a very biased perspective, Women's Champions League, Arsenal have just won it. I'd love to be literally going for complete rainbows of players and certain parallels, which I will be targeting this year. But we're probably going to have to wait to the end of the year like we did last year. Like anything, this might be controversial to some people, and I'd like to see some people's opinions, especially if you're in the women's side of the collecting hobby. I just don't think they care. I really don't think they care about the women's side of the hobby. And I think it's like what quite a few football teams do. It's good for politics for doing the women's releases. All right, fair enough. You've done a video with Alexia Putellas in for the stickers, but you don't care about the women's side of it. Last year, it was unbearable on social media. Every single game, there was about 30 people each game. There was different content, pack openings, box openings. It's radio silent. Like nothing is happening. There was an example the other day, fantastic video the Welsh FA put out for the Women's Euros. All the players on the plane, opening their stickers, completing their books. Tops didn't even bother posting it. Come on, Tops. Come on, Panini. It's not just Tops, Panini. Whoever wants to make cards there. Parkside do a good job in America with it, their licenses. Come on. Show some interest. UEFA, I know what a lot of people know UEFA, know how stickle they are for everything's got to be done a certain way. Please back the women's side hobby. How are we meant to grow a hobby within the UK, Europe, America, wherever it may be, if the companies producing it who have the contacts just don't do nothing? Why is there not a event at the top store tonight, for example, pre-Women's Euros launch party? Well, of course not. Nothing. Of course, there won't be anything. Hopefully, they prove me wrong. And in the long run, when a Women's Euro set comes out, whenever it comes out, or the Champions League Women's, they might do something. But to this day, they've never really done anything women's related. Even for the stickers, there was nothing. They just was in shop 6 weeks before they was meant to go out on shelves. So that's that little rant over, and it's just becoming frustrating, as it will be for a lot of you out there who collect stuff that you have to wait a long time for after delay after delay. I think a perfect example, Panini Noir. I'm sure I see images of that in about November last year, and it's now due out in July. I think theoretically speaking, from today, I think Topps have the Premier League license. So I think as of today, Panini actually don't have the Premier League license anymore, which is quite intriguing. Going back to the Women's Euros, though, for anyone who actually cares, obviously 16 teams taking place in Switzerland. It's going to be great fun. England's group is quite tricky. Got the Netherlands, France, and Wales, so that should be quite a fun group to watch. But obviously, some of the best players in world football will be on the show. No doubt there'll be quite a few people out there that will tune in for their first women's game, maybe for England France this Saturday. And if you are, welcome into the journey. If it's just one game, good for you for watching. If not, hopefully get to see you at a few more other games. But it should be a very good competition. Like I say, there probably will be Topps nows. They haven't been announced, but there probably be Topps nows. But obviously, you've got to remember that certain teams within the set do not have licensing. Off the top of my head, I believe it is England, France, Italy, Germany. I think off the top of my head, it's them 4 countries. So a quarter of the teams in the competition does not have licensing, which is a massive shame. But yeah, it should be a great tournament. I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of other people that are in the women's football world are really enjoying it. So if you are bored and got something to do, stick on the football. Get me wrong, there's some teams in there not great, but it's certainly getting a lot better. Moving on now to another release that recently, good English, come out was Panini Topps Finest, and wow, it's a typical Topps release at the moment in terms of the big hits. What you're chasing are simply stunning, incredible. I'm not taking that away from them. Some of the dual autos, some of the base, got absolutely beautiful design. However, the print run on that set is absolutely ludicrous. I was watching the boys over at Breaks rip a case of Finest, and I'm being honest, it was a tricky watch. It really was a tricky watch. There's some boxes where the lowest numbering was to 99. You're getting 5, 6 numbered, and sometimes it's to 99. Base autos. It's just not a great release. And it's a shame because I personally believe that one of the best sets that Topps have released in recent years was this year's Topps Finest MLS. Absolute fantastic release. Short print, simple, autos, nice inserts, got the job done. Released Finest UCC, print run absolutely astronomical, out of this stratosphere, absolutely miles clear of anything else. And I'm like, yes, I know, and people say it's a business. Of course, it's a business. You want to print as much as possible. However, there's got to be a line that is drawn at some point between profit and actual product quality. There's got to be a fine gap, because you go for 20,000 boxes or you go for 5 boxes. Obviously, 5 boxes makes no sense. But why do such a big print run of? I think I read that if there's certain players in the set, that if you wanted to collect one of each parallel, you've got to collect 70 cards or something. It was saying silly because they've got so many inserts, so many parallels. And it's getting to a point now, especially with Topps, and this is my main concern. It's not even me saying to Topps, sort your stuff out, because they do a lot of good stuff as well. But you got to remember, with that Premier League license that is coming up now, you've got to feel that they're going to be pumping out sets this year, pumping sets out left, right, and centre. So the sets that do very, very well, it's not surprising. Sapphire, short print, biggest number base card to 75. Logo Fractor, fantastic. Highest number base card, 75. There's a common theme coming here. Some of the sets that do really well, non-men's, for example, women's chrome, awful, didn't do well. Too highly print. Sapphire, short print, bang, fantastic set. The recent knockout, very short print, fantastic. And these sets that are astronomically printed, don't get me wrong, some of the cards are beautiful. Some of the cards will go for 30, 40,000 pounds. However, 85, 90%, essentially even more, will go for £5 and less. So it's finding that balance between supply and demand, but at the same time, supply and demand, making it a product of a quality that you want to put out. And I feel like that's the thing that is trending down at the moment. And it's another talking point I'm going to get onto at the moment after I see a good Instagram post about it today. Is why keep bringing out these sets when you do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, but you just have a different color and a different parallel. So moving away from Finest, which was a terrible release, and I see a great Instagram post today. It was by Fora, saying, "Why would you buy a like?" So it was an Thierry Henry, for example. It was a Merlin sticker, Gem Mint 10. I have exactly the same sticker, but in a PSA 8, new signings. You can get a gem, I bought a PSA 8 of that sticker for about 25 quid. PSA 9, I think that's about 60. And a PSA 10, I'll probably do like 200, 150, 200. Or a base case hit, obviously not parallel, just case hit from Prism, where it's like a cartoon version of Thierry and it's got a massive head. It's got like 300 bucks. And it's got to get to a point where, yes, these modern cards are fantastic. I collect modern cards. I'm not going to say they're total waste of space and time, should bin them all off, etc., etc. But some of these pre-modern / vintage stickers are incredible. I personally collect. There's 3 people that I will collect who are with stickers, and that is Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, and Arsene Wenger. I know what you're thinking. That's not a bad trifecta. And for me, I just don't get it. I can buy an Arsene Wenger rookie sticker raw for anything from 20 to 40 euro. That's a sticker from 1983, I believe. So say for that same price, 20 quid. You couldn't get a, say, aluminium mole Future Stars insert from Logo Fractor to 75. I think it's about 40 quid. For me personally, there's 75 aluminium moles. All right, fantastic. Probably there's a lot more upside. But that Arsene Wenger sticker, I'll show you an example because I've actually got one right next to me. They're just incredible stickers to have. And here we go. I'm showing it off for the camera. So anyone who's watching along now, if you have a look at your screen, these type of things are just sensational. And I think I've got a feeling, obviously, this is not advice or anything like that, far from it, just my personal opinion, that at some point, stickers are going to have to start going on price. But I'm not talking about your vintage stickers. The era of nostalgia, I like to call it, from, say, 1990, so Italian 90, through to, say, like 2004, 2005. That 15-year area of most people who are collecting in the hobby grew up in that period of time. So they have that nostalgia of collecting them stickers, whatever it may be. They are what I personally think are and should be doing a lot better price-wise. For example, this Thierry Henry is one I was referring to. Fully licensed, which you don't get in all sets, from 1999. And I'm just like, surely these are too cheap. Like, how can you buy that for the same price as what it costs to get it graded? To me, it makes no sense, and it never will do. But like I say, I think it comes down to that argument at the end of the day, which it's not even an argument. It's the saying of, if you collect what you want to collect, you'll never lose a penny in your life. And it's true. For example, I'm looking around here at my collection. Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, Beth Mead, Katie McCabe. And obviously there's some things I collect that some people probably wouldn't even spend 1p on. And likewise, some people might spend thousands of pounds on something that I have no interest in. And that's the best thing about collecting. everyone's collecting experience is different. And you can't ever say anything about someone if they're collecting what they love. And for me, I feel like it's one of them with collecting that when people finally find that one thing or whatever it may be to collect, that's when you really start to enjoy and get the benefits out of the hobby that we do now. Because for me, that thrill of opening up a Tops Now parcel with the Arsenal women's semi-final parallels, which I'll show off later on, it is like you get nervous opening it because you know that card is going to, hopefully, if everything stays well, forever. There's no reason why I'd want to sell that. So collect what you want to collect. For example, I might be the only person. I generally do believe this when I say this. I believe I'm the only person in the UK and especially London that has started to collect cards to establish with the London Lions basketball team. A lot of you out there have gone, who the go to London Lions? Fair play, because not many people do know. London Lions is the English basketball team that is representing London, play out the Copper Box. And don't get me wrong, standard, nothing comparison to America or even Europe. I love it. I've always loved basketball, so that's the passion where I come from. And they have a few Americans play, whether it's Sam Decker, who was drafted at number 16, I believe it was, by the Houston Rockets. Matt Morgan is an American player. I'll tell a quick story about him in a second, which is just fantastic. He's moved over to Italy now after a lot of politics was going on in the UK. And so I thought, oh, you know what? I would like to get one of his low ring cards. And there was a couple of golds on American eBay. And I see someone list up his Superfractor. Oh, sorry. Technically speaking, gold vinyl 1-of-1 optic. And I was like, I've never owned a 1-of-1 optic. So that could be quite intriguing. So I bought it. I think it cost me about 80 quid, 90 quid. And then I put it out on my story. And as you do, tag the player. And then he messaged me and he was just like, oh, that's really cool, mate. And I just started talking to him. And when you collect something like that, it just makes you more passionate. And I've seen it a lot. You see the collectors when they're very passionate about something. Whether it's the recent conversation I had with someone about tennis collection, whether it's Barcelona collecting, whether it's Hungarian legends collecting, whatever it may be. I think that's where people in the hobby, and that's what I love to hear people's stories, which I love to hear is different stories of why they collect something, what their best collection is. And I definitely think it's something that someone needs to highlight within the UK. Do a channel where I know classic football shirts, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, do it where they have like a rack or 2 racks of shirts and you just talk through their career. I would love that for people's collections. I think it'd be really cool. Be really interesting to see what people have, what gems they have, what they collect. But moving on now, I was at a Fanatics event last Monday. It was now, so about 8 days ago. It was at the Fanatics Collectible store in London. It was an open invite. It wasn't a influencer one or anything like that because I got in, so definitely weren't anything interesting. But it was with Jack Draper. Yeah, again, a lot of you are probably like, who's Jack Draper? That's world number 4 tennis player, UK's number 1. And I'm going to talk about this because I think it's quite intriguing with this Fanatic store in London, with events and how they do it. So it was a case of first come, first serve, if you pardon the pun. Event, queue up, you get in. No one really knew about the event. All we knew there was Pims and strawberries and cream. That piqued my interest straight away, as well as obviously Jack Draper. So got there, bumped into a few mates in the queue, Max, and then also arranged to meet up with Bart's as well. Obviously, a very good friend. Always helps that we could do a little Tour de France trade, which obviously starts this weekend. It was a good evening. Had a couple of drinks, had some strawberries and cream. A couple of people opened boxes. Managed to end up at the end of it meeting Jack Draper. He done an interview. He went on Fanatics Live, and it feels like, and I feel like I've heard this from quite a few other people as well. It's not just myself saying it. They really need to have someone who's into cards and understands the hobby in that shop, especially for events. You're hosting an event with one of tennis's biggest players at the moment, and it's barely he doesn't even talk about cards. It just seems like it's very poorly done, and like you're running this massive store in London. Great, you can get the people in, but this is your perfect opportunity to promote the hobby, get new people involved in the hobby, and it just felt like everything at that night was done but the cards. So, just my word of advice for fanatics if they ever do listen to this or someone at the store: when you do events, get people in the cards. The person with me has the best Jack Draper cards out there. Why not put them on display? Or do you only they set the standpoint with the Lewis Hamilton. Oh, let's get all of his cards, and obviously that's more Mark Rubin than the actual Fnatic store. But it's so easily done. Reach out to people. If they done a Lionesses event, I would bring down some of my Arsenal women's players. It's just how it is. I feel like that store is doing semi okay. Obviously, there's a lot of politics again with that one, but they just need to have a couple of people in there who are in the hobby, who understand cards, understand pricing, understand generic questions. So that's my one thing with them. I don't want to go too much on about Fanatics and everything like that. However, there was a new set, very early teaser today for what I've seen, which is Panini are bringing out seems to be a higher endish Lionesses set, which is absolutely fantastic. Don't be fooled though. Panini only do bring out a women's set when they can show off the licensing. The women's Euro stickers come out. So does the England Lionesses stickers come out. So just take it a bit of tongue in cheek. But 3 autos per box, I believe I read. Numbered as well per box. So my guess it will be a paper-based set, which I'm going to be very intrigued about. A women's set's really nice, especially if we do well at this year's Euros. Obviously, for me, I'll be intrigued in some of the Arsenal women's players, and I'm really hoping they do it for this squad, because if that's the case, Michelle Aguilang's first ever cards will be in there, which I would be chasing quite heavily. Likes of obviously Lotta Vobin Moyer, Leah Williamson, Beth Mead, Alessia Russo, Chloe Kelly, but also it would open the door up to some really cool cards. Aggie Beaver Jones's first England card. My mind's gone completely blank for some unknown reason. And Hampton's first England cards. You've got players like Jess Park as well, would be a fantastic one for people to collect. So that's going to be quite an intriguing set. When we get more information, I will talk about it. I probably wouldn't thought the set would be out that soon. But the last one point is grading. And I won't talk about it for too long. There has been considerable delays now for PSA and SGC since PSA acquired PSG. Definitely didn't do that. Acquired SGC. So for anyone for context, you might not have ever graded with SGC. For me personally, they were the best grading company for customer service, for turnaround times, whatever it may be. Absolutely fantastic. Couldn't say a bad word about them. If there's a problem, they'll fix it straight away. Bang, done. Easy. 2-week turnaround, no problem at all, every time. PSA have come through the door. Now it's 6-week turnaround. Thanks, PSA, for that one. But it's not even just SGC. PSA now, I'm seeing people have an estimated 5-6 months turnaround. That's not 120 working days. So, actually, technically, it's 6 months, 120 working days. But I think people from like the London card shows, I think some of them have only just been scanned into the system from, what's that, about a month and a half ago. So, I just want to see their specials return or whatever it may be. So yeah, that's the last one on grading. So obviously, I'm going to finish off a couple of pickups. Just the upcoming schedule for the podcast in even next episode in 2 weeks' time, but it probably will be the one in 4 weeks' time. So 2 episodes' time will be my national special, which I'll be getting a couple of the boys on who I'm going out to Chicago with to talk about our optimism, what it may be Funny enough, that will come out as we're flying to Chicago. I generally haven't looked forward to the same as much as the national for a long time, but pickups. There's only a couple of pickups this week. There's a couple situated around the world, couple on the way, but these were nice ones. Pick up some nice cheap ones. First of all, so I'm actually a big fan of the Select, and there's a certain parallel in there. Tie dye. I think everyone knows how nice that one is. I picked up this lovely Emily Fox to 25 tie dye auto. One of my favourite players. Can't wait for her to get Arsenal cards. And then this one potentially, some people out there. So let me know. Do you think this was a good buy, a steal, or not? So when I say the words Obsidian, there's one parallel that I think most people will say, yeah, that's really nice. Contra. Incredible. Number 29. And one of my safe searches on eBay is Kai Havertz. And I managed to pick up this lovely Kai Havertz Contra to 9 colour match Germany for £14. Not 40, £14. And I think that's an absolute steal. Obviously, say what you may say, I personally absolutely love Kai Havertz. He's a lot better player than some people want to make out. Very good return for us. So, great deal. And then I alluded to it earlier. I had a golden envelope through from Topps, which I don't think anyone can ever complain about receiving a gold envelope from Topps. That means you have parallels. Topps Now parallels. And this one was the Topps Nows from the UEFA Women's Champions League semi-finals, second legs, which was Lyon Arsenal, which we obviously beat Lyon. And there was two different cards, Mariona Caldente and the Arsenal team. So starting off with a absolute, I'm going to give Topps credit after this for something. To 50, another to 50 for Mariana, to 2 golds. Then we got an orange and a gold from the team. But I've got to admit, one of the best things Topps have done is change up the Topps Nows. Having this actual foil on them now, rather than just like that matte finish, has elevated these cards in terms of how nice they are to look at tenfold. I don't have an example on me at the moment, but I have quite a few Emil Forsberg cards because I follow the New York Red Bulls, and their ones is just like a different color, and then it's actually, let me just see if I've got it here. I don't think I have, and it's just printed the number on, and it's just like a different color, and it's just not as nice. I don't have it here. I'll make sure I have it for the next episode. So very nice. So if anyone's ever debating buying Topps Nows, do it. They're just so nice now. Obviously, it's just pure pot luck in terms of the parallels. Yeah, it should be quite intriguing. So obviously that's on the hot. I tell you that it's very hot in here. But going to wrap up this episode now. I've got a special guest planned for the next episode, which I can't wait to bring you. A massive thanks yet again for all the support, everyone reaching out, all of the messages as well about different ideas to have for the podcast, who they want on. So don't worry, we see everything as well. But a massive thank you for every single one of you out there for listening, watching, however way you're interacting. Massive thanks yet again to the absolute legends over at Third Down UK for powering up this episode of the Top Loaded Podcast. Whether you need custom card stands, grade preparation kits, card supplies, whatever it may be, they will have you covered. Head over to the link in our bio, check over their Instagram/website, and check out their shop and use the code TTP10 at checkout to save 10% off everything. So for everyone out there, it is the summer of sport. You have England versus India in the cricket this week. You have the Tour de France starting. You have the Women's Euro starting. You have everything starting. Enjoy the weather. If you're going on holiday, enjoy your times away. If you're working, waiting for whatever it may be, hope everyone is doing well, staying safe. Also, buying, selling, trading, and all that good jazz. But most importantly, happy hobbying and good night.